We got an audience.
Tom
here?
Merritt and Susie's watching you. Lisa Brooks Hamilton, Jim Wickert.
All right. We're coming on. We're coming on.
Dave Darren. Dave Darren.
Dave Darren? The fabulous, the famous Dave Darren show?
Okay, I'm leaving you on your own now.
All right, see ya. Okay. As you know, we're kind of like impromptu here, folks. My friend and drummer and just all around good guy, Buddy Greco Jr. is with us.
How you doing out there, people? Everyone is safe. God bless you all.
And my guitar player extraordinaire, partner in crime, songwriter partner, Mr. Peter Sutter. Right?
Yay!
My name is Biff.
How you doing, Biff?
Yeah, pretty good. Anyway, it's good to be back here. I hope you all can hear us. I had to negotiate with my neighbor back there. As you can see, his ladder is showing. He wanted to make sure that his ladder was in the shot. So, and we tried to paint the wall for you there, Bagwell, but you're going to have to deal with the wall. Anyhow, I want to say hi to everybody. We love you. I'm glad that you're home safe, tucked away, and we're just good. You want to start something? What do you want to do?
I'm going to do that one that I kind of screwed up the other day. The one that you did on the 12th floor.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is, okay. Yeah, this is an original song. Originally did it with Mark Gregg and Misty Howell on the 12th floor at Fantasy Springs. Wrote this one a while back. It's called We Are Lovers. You guys ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As the day begins, we walk a mile or two. All the nights we spend, just me and you. But suddenly you falling into a daze. Our love just seems to vanish in a haze. Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We made love every day, every season. We don't have to be like all the others. Have no fear, darling dear, we are lovers. You must tell me now, in the days ahead, are we losing ground? Am I fooled instead? Don't be afraid to lay it all on me. No matter how we feel, we are free. Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We made love every day, every season. We don't have to be like all the others. Have no fear, darling dear, we are lovers. All right, Peter, look at it. Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We made love every day, every season. 'Cause we are lovers, yeah, yeah, yeah. We are lovers, alright, yeah. Ooh, la, la, la,
Yeah.
We are lovers already. Ooh, la, 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 la. Lovers, we are lovers.
Hey guys, welcome to Dave Nash Show. Let me say hello to the folks that have joined here. We've got a few people watching. We got Terry joined. Terry's always a fan of Brad, so cool that I had him on before the show. He did a thing this morning or early this afternoon, so I recorded part of it and I decided to play some of it because Brad's a pretty cool dude. And he's given us the spirit to survive in today's situation, right? Good to see Kathleen. Good to see Azariana. And yes, tonight's show is live, Ariziana. So if anyone wants to call, the phone number is up there, 480-236-2111. But let me start off with the show with telling you what I'm going to talk about tonight. By the way, you see I'm not wearing any rings and no neck thing because you know what? I'm not all that cheerful and I'm not all that normal to be dressed as flamboyantly as I usually do. Now, I'm stuck wearing these shirts because these are the only shirts I've got. But I decided not to wear the rings until we come out of this. And come out of it meaning, what did we, this whole thing started, what, like 3 weeks ago? I remember last weekend I was in Scottsdale and I played some of the stuff for you guys of me walking around with my wife in Scottsdale. And what was it, 2 Saturdays ago, I was in a car show where there was about 40% of the cars there, or 50% of the cars, about 50% of the people did not come. So I started feeling a little bit awkward at that point. And the week before that, if you remember, I did a opening montage, is that a word? Of my Volkswagen car show that I went to, which was crowded and it was a mob scene. So things have changed a lot. And it's kind of scary and it's kind of spooky. You go out there, it's like in Arizona, we have these ghost towns. Looks like all of Arizona now is like a ghost town. Now, I'll tell you some of the things that are kind of scary, and I'll bring up, let me write one of them down because I almost forgot about this one. Hang on a bit, because sometimes my mind plays tricks on me and I forget stuff, but I want to talk to you guys about a few things I've experienced recently. Now, first of all, a couple days ago, or it was, yesterday, Saturday, I was walking around, we go to this place called AJ's. It's like a Wegmans, and if you're on the East Coast, here we got something called AJ's. It's kind of a good food place. You get some really good food there. They have a Starbucks in there, although it's not a Starbucks, it's a privately owned franchise. So it's kind of cool. Outside, they usually have a guitar player playing out there on Saturday or Sunday, sometimes both days. You can sit out there, have a coffee, have a piece of cake, or have food that you bought at Wegmans. And I think you can even bring wine out there, except I'm not sure, wine or beer, but maybe not at the patio area. But it's kind of a cool place to hang around. People are all out there. In the midsummer, they have what's called a misting system on. So that's a system where a little bit of water is misting down on you to cool you off a bit. They got fans out there. It's a really cool place to hang out. We would hang out there with Kim, our previous dog that had passed away. And then we started doing it again with Willie. It's a cool place to hang out. See some people that are there having a good time. Sometimes you see kids dancing to the music because they got the guitar player up there. It's a really cool place. So it's a cool place to go to. So we're walking around there. Everything now is closed. Now AJ's is still open because it's a grocery store, but the outside seating area is all closed up. No benches, no seats, no tables there at all. You go down the block and there's a Payway. I think you guys probably know what that is. Isn't it called Payway or something like that? I forget. Pee-wee or Payway? Pee-wee Herman, right? Payway or something like that. It's the place you go there and you get like all this Asian type of food. It isn't really the best food, by the way, but people like it and they go there. You can't eat outside anymore. It's takeout. There's an ice cream shop out there, and I'll talk about the ice cream shop in a second, but we're walking down and there's a guitar center there. And then the guitar center is still open. Now, is Guitar Center really a critical place? You can buy all your guitar strings online. You can buy everything musical related online. Should Guitar Center really be open? And this is really not to pick on the young generation, but I'm going to pick on the young generation a bit because we've all seen the guys taking this Corona challenge and they're licking toilet seat bowls or they're playing beach volleyball. And I know this for a fact. I didn't see someone licking a toilet bowl, but I've seen actually driving from Scottsdale when I went to that car show a couple of weeks ago. And I'm driving back, and there, let me get a little tea here. And I'm driving back and they're playing beach volleyball there with these 20-year-old kids. And they're all, of course, beach volleyball. They're all close together, all diving on each other. They're all sweaty. All their sweat is pouring out of their bodies onto the guy next to them. Usually that sounds pretty sexy. But it didn't sound sexy when those little particles of water and dripping off of their body from sweat is flying all over the atmosphere. And you start to think about, are these people really taking it seriously? Are these kids really taking it seriously? And when you think about musicians now, I had Brad on as the opening music to the show. So there are musicians out there that are the more mature musicians who have sometimes a more mature attitude. They're in isolation now. Brad was playing in isolation. He's not out there playing on stadiums anymore like he usually does where he performs. And I forget where he performs off the top of my head. But you see all the beach volleyball players. And I'm thinking about Guitar Center. It draws in a lot of these 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 23-year-olds who are playing beach volleyball. Hopefully they're taking a shower and then they're picking up a guitar and playing in Guitar Center. Now, I think Guitar Center, I saw them. They were asking people what they were coming into the store for. And I think they were directing him to the section of his needs. But Guitar Center was still open. And you see people walking in there. You see like a band walking in there. And the band is walking like side by side, like not caring about where that guy was the night before, where the drummer was, where the singer was, where the guitar player was, what they were doing the night before, the day before. Were they playing beach volleyball with 30 kids? And they're all, that 30 kids is a group, right? We're not supposed to gather in those type of groups. They're all gathering in that group. And then the guitar player who was playing beach volleyball that same day is now in Guitar Center with his 4 bandmates close together in a close proximity, going to Guitar Center to maybe buy guitar strings or something. Was Guitar Center, should it really be open? Because it's a place that conglomerates young people together. And it really does seem like the young people are not taking this shit, and I want to use that word, taking this shit seriously. And seriously they should be. Because I was reading today that, where was it? One of these states, I think Minnesota or Mississippi or something like that, where they said that the predominant amount of people now coming into the hospital are now, the major group is not the 60 or 70 years old. The major ones checking in the hospital, they said, were the 40-year-olds. So it's funny that it's not the 20-year-olds that are out there defying and just doing whatever they feel like doing, licking toilet seats, balls, playing or playing beach volleyball or just hanging together. And you see them still, you see girlfriend and boyfriend. Now the girlfriend and boyfriend, probably they live together because, you know, that's what's going on today. And I'm not judging anyone's moral things with living with a girlfriend. That's cool in my perspective. I don't mind that at all. If you live together, that's fine with me. But if they're not living together and the chick's still living, the girl's still living someplace, the guy's living in another place, they don't know what each other's been doing. Now they get together and they're holding hands, and they're still going out to places where they're playing beach volleyball together. And are they taking this shit seriously or not? Because I think it's got to be taken seriously. Now, the 40-year-olds in this one particular state were the ones that were occupying the hospitals in larger droves than the 60 or 70 years old, which was kind of odd because you think at the age of 40, you've had some common sense built into your mind, although probably not, because I talked about the generations earlier, and I talked about the generations that sort of lack the mentality, and I'm not going to go through that again, but I saw that. I saw Guitar Center was open, and it dawned on me, should Guitar Center really, really need to be open right now? And all those products can be purchased online, right? For the most part. Now, you can't go in, play every guitar that's available there that you can do in Guitar Center, sit there, turn on an amp and play the guitar there and rock and roll out. I bet they weren't allowing that to happen. You had to go in there with a particular purpose in mind. But still, did it really need to be opened? Does it need to be open? If you're not going to let anyone go there and experiment with the guitars and the amps, and you're limiting to them to their purchase needs, do they really need that purchase need of guitars, guitar strings, picks, harmonica, a bass, keyboard? Do you really need that now, or can you hang on to what you got? If it's an emergency, can you get online and buy it and pay an extra $20, $30 shipping and handling to get to you in 2 days before your next gig, which isn't the next gig anyway, because you guys aren't playing right now, unless you do like what Brad does and some others have done it online, which is really a cool thing to see. Let's see another thing. Oh yeah, I went out to that same mall That same mall I'm talking about with the AJ's there and the Guitar Center, there's a ice cream place there, or a yogurt place. Not ice. Well, they do have ice cream as well, but the major thing is yogurt, which I like yogurt. It's healthier for you. Sort of has less calories and all that, so I eat yogurt because I'm trying to be like a vegetarian as well, so I'm trying to drink less milk. Although I have still been drinking milk because I need the calcium, and I get supplements for that. But nevertheless, I'm going to the yogurt place. And I'm walking in there, and I'm the only customer there. Now, they give you the gloves to wear. Before, you used to get samples of the different yogurts. You could ask for a little cup, and you could try different samples. They don't allow that anymore. And they give you a cup, and before you go in, you have to put these thin latex gloves on. They're plastic gloves, not latex. They're not going to give you expensive gloves. They give you the little ones you roll on. They give you the cup, and you go there, and you get your own yogurt in the cup, and then they charge you based upon how much it weighs when you go up front. So I'm there. Initially, I'm the only customer in there. Then what happens? I like tea when I'm talking to you guys. That's what I'm drinking right now. So I go in there, and behind me, before I'm at the checkout to pay for my yogurt, 4 people come in, 1 adult in their like 40s, and like 3 or 4 kids in their teens. And they're like trying to go all over me, like they're trying to get the cup. And of course, since there's 4 of them there plus the 1 adult, there's 5 cups. So they got to explain to them, okay, take the gloves. I'm going to give you the cup. Then you go there, and they probably have been there before, so they know the scenario. You go and you get your own yogurt, and you bring it back. But they're all over grabbing the cups, and I'm over there ready to pay, and I'm trying to keep my 6-foot distance away from these kids that aren't caring about me what the fuck ever. So they're all like trying to gather around me to get the cup. So I step back so they can grab the cup without me being around them, with not a thought in their mind about who else is in the store, who might get someone to go in there who's got like a pre-existing condition, or they got asthma, or they got diabetes, or they're a cancer person getting treatments for cancer, and they got to worry about this virus is going around, and they got these kids all over them, not caring, not giving a crap about what's going on. All inside the yogurt place I went to today. Craziest thing. And then I'm gonna give you another thing. So I get online today. There's this guy in Arizona here, Todd. I'm not going to give you his last name because I don't feel like talking about him because he's insignificant anyway. But he's got some kind of record company or something like this. And he did something yesterday where he went to a skate park. Now, I believe at the skate park, I don't think he's got the money or the cash to close the fucking thing down and isolate it to him and his 4 or 5 people that were around there that I saw skating with him. He's there, and then he's coughing. And, if you're coughing, hopefully he didn't cough around a person. I couldn't see him really coughing that close to a person. But he's over there coughing. He said, oh, it's too much weed I smoked. You know what? Don't fucking joke about it because it's not that funny. I'm a guy. You see me coming on here, and I do some outrageous humor, and I do some crazy shit that's politically incorrect. But I don't think that's politically correct at this moment, where you really should be doing that shit at all. Because people going into supermarkets. Have you guys seen it? Go in the supermarket. There's one situation that occurred recently. A guy is in line talking to the checkout clerk, and the guy is coughing on the checkout clerk and saying, oh, I've got corona. And then, of course, everyone now is going to panic. It's like yelling fire in a movie theater. Everyone's panicked. Everyone's scared. The guy's coughing. He coughed on the checkout clerk. And like Azariana, I think it was you that said, you're not even allowed to wear a mask in the place that you work, which is a shock to me. And by the way, recently when I went into AJ's and another grocery store in Arizona, I asked them on your behalf, I asked them if they are allowed to wear masks. None of them were wearing masks, by the way. In fact, none of them had gloves on at all. And they're handling the food and handling the plastic bags, putting it in there. And I asked them, I said, do you feel comfortable, like not wearing a mask? And they said that they didn't seem like they felt uncomfortable, but it seemed like if they wanted to, they would be allowed to, except they were not sure about that. It's like I asked them, can you wear a mask? And one of them said, I think someone in here has actually worn a mask, not during the coronavirus, just during maybe another flu season or cold season, or maybe she had a cold and didn't want to contaminate one of the customers, I'm not sure. But it was odd. that I'm in there getting groceries, and when you walk in, they got the little sanitizer, so you take the shopping cart and you clean the shopping cart thing that you carry, and so I did that. But then when I'm leaving, I'm thinking, okay, as soon as I get home, I better wash my hands, because you never know, right? You just absolutely never know. So I saw these things happen. I saw this one lunatic fucking guy at the skateboard park skating and then coughing deliberately and making a joke out of it. And he seemed like he was not that far from the rest of the people. And then he's making a comment, probably to one of his friends. Now, does he live with that friend? Is that friend a roommate where they're in isolation together? Or does Todd go out to one place and this other guy goes to another place? And then they come together if they're roommates? And how can they be sure that one of them doesn't have it, giving it to the other one? And then the guy's there in the skate park coughing and making a joke out of it, saying it was from smoking too much weed. There's proof right there that weed will make your fucking brain cells die. Because he's doing that. And I got all over him on that on his post. He hasn't made a comment. Other people made a comment. Another pothead made a comment saying that, we're in Arizona. What did he say? In Arizona, we're all douchebags. That's what he said. Because I called Todd and I called this other guy, Ron, a douchebag. Both of them are both douchebags. They're douchebaggies together. And then the one guy makes a joke and says, Arizona, we're all douchebags. We're not. We're not all dummies and douchebags and idiots. We're people that should be respecting each other's private space. Remember there was a Seinfeld episode, if you remember this. I should get on there and I should look for that episode. And the guy would always come right up to you and talk to you. It was a Seinfeld episode. I never really watched that show that much because I just wasn't interested in watching it. The only time I liked it was Kramer would come in and he would skid on the ground. It's funny. I thought Kramer was the best one in that show. Just like, remember that show Taxi? With the taxi driver that was in Back to the Future. I forget his name in the taxi show. But he was like a guy that was a stoner. And he was funny. I forget his name in the show. But Taxi, that was the guy I liked. I can't remember his name. I wish I could. Not the Latka guy. Not Andy Kaufman. The other guy from Back to the Future. He was hysterical. When I watch comedies, there's like one guy I like. When I watch MASH, Alan Alda. He's the guy. Everyone else could be gone. Alan Alda's the guy. And in Cheers, it was always Sam. And it was the first girl that he had, the first girlfriend he had. What was her name? I can't remember her name either. Funny show, Cheers. So I always like shows, and I pick one guy out of it. And the rest of them are like people that I don't even care if they have dialogue in it. I like Sam. So this guy, Todd, total idiot, total douchebag. And not everyone in Arizona is as brain dead as this fucking guy is. So let's see. I want to talk about a few other things. If anyone wants to call tonight, 480-236-2111. I've got my phone here. I will take your call. Don't call yet, though. Another couple things I want to talk about. Where would you usually be today? Sunday. Sunday, I remember when I lived in Delaware. I'm from Delaware. Don't blame me for Joe Biden, by the way. I'm from Delaware. I was born in Philadelphia. Moved to Las Vegas for a while. Went to college in Las Vegas. Then I moved to Japan for 3 years where I met my wife. Then we moved back to Delaware, and then from Delaware we moved to Arizona. Arizona we moved to New Jersey, and now we're both in Jersey and Arizona. So we're back and forth. Right now I'm in Arizona. Thank God I'm in Arizona and not New Jersey, because that New Jersey is a hot spot right now, right? New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. I don't know if it's all New York or New York City. I don't know if it's all New Jersey or certain areas of Jersey, but I'm glad I'm here now because we have less terror going on right now than in other parts of the country. California is our nearest hotspot, and it's not that far away. And I'm not going to hop into a car like I usually do and take Willie to the beach in California. We're not doing that now, which is too bad. During this time, I've got this little bit of extra time. I'd like to go to the beach. I ain't going. So where would you usually be today? For instance, today on a Sunday, I would usually, if I was in Delaware, I'd go to this place called I wrote it down because I almost forgot about the place because it's been so long since I've been there. I didn't even know if it's open anymore. Sundays they used to have like an afternoon jazz session. Sunday seems to be, Sunday night people didn't go out, but you could go out now because a lot of people don't work on Monday, but you can't go out and gather anyway. But I used to go to this place called Deer Park, and they used to have an open mic, or they used to have jazz players there and didn't do open mic. It was kind of a mixed bag. I'd be there on Sundays, and it was a cool place to go. Everything on the East Coast is like all historical. It was a great building, historical building. A lot of woodwork in there. Great looking building. University of Delaware is right next to it, which is a cool series of buildings as well. So you got all that history there, and Deer Park is a place that's been around for a long time. I'd be at Deer Park enjoying some jazz on a Sunday. Would usually finish like 9. I just belched there. I'm not doing Howard Stern tonight, but I could belch, especially when I drink tea. I used to go there and enjoy jazz music, and it would finish at 9 o'clock, and I'd usually be taking my girlfriend back home, which I lived with, so I'm not, like I said, I'm not telling you morals about guy and girl living together. I used to live with the girl, and it'd be fun. Jazz night, a little bit of nice wine, back into the apartment, 9 o'clock. A lot of fun happening there. You could imagine the way Dave Darren used to live when he was single. I still live like that with my wife, but so I'd go to Deer Park, enjoy that. When I was in New York City, living in New Jersey, and just going across the Hudson, I used to be at this place called Rockwood Music Hall on a Sunday. Great place, 3 stages, different bands on all stages. It was more intimate at stage 1 because it was like a smaller band or a solo performer. Stage 2 and stage 3, great places to see, bigger band setting. It was a great place to go on a Sunday in New York City. Rockwood Music Hall, you can look it up. That place is still open. Although it's not open right now, but it's still open. Cool place to go to, cool places to be. What are you guys doing now? Let's see if anyone's got anything that they're chatting about online. Let's see. It's always hard to backtrack. Let's see. Kathleen says, I still have my harmonica, F chord, and G chord. My favorite is the G. Oh, okay. It looked like G with explanation points. It looked like GIF. GIFF. So harmonica, my parents, it's funny, I'm a guitar player. I can play a little bit of keys, but not really. So I'm a guitar player, and the only way I stumbled into playing the guitar is because my parents bought my brother drums, because I was always out playing sports. My brother was always home using Pledge. You know what Pledge is? It's the cleaner it's the wax cleaner for wood. He'd be doing that. I mean, He'd be waxing wood. I'd be waxing wood at night, thinking about my girlfriends. But he'd be waxing wood with Pledge. So my parents tried to get him involved in something else other than cleaning the house. Crazy to be doing that when you're a kid, right? I'd be out all day playing stickball and all kinds of shit, delivering newspapers. Like I told you guys, he'd be using Pledge to clean. And so they bought him a drum. He never played it. They bought him a guitar. They bought him a harmonica. He never did any of that shit. And I got hooked on the guitar, so the guitar became my instrument that I'd be playing. I'd be playing that constantly when I was a kid until I got involved with the chicks. Of course, the guitar helps you get involved with chicks easier. Gets you into trouble, too. So that's how I started in guitar. My parents bought me one. I still have, they bought a cheap guitar for my brother. He never played it. I got it. Then my parents saw I was hooked on it. So they bought me a really great guitar, which I still have. They bought it for me in 1965. I've still got it, believe it or not. And I actually restored it, which is something you're not supposed to do with guitars. Really good electric guitars, you're not supposed to do that because you want to keep it original. You want to keep the, what do they call that? The palatine or something like, I forget. But it's the way the wood and the paint ages and starts to get a little bit gritty and grainy and patina, that's what it's called. You want to keep the patina on the guitar as well as your classic cars. Some people want to keep their classic cars as pure classics, even though the paint doesn't look great. It's just the way it's aged. It looks good. Some people think that looks better. In fact, guitarists now, they have relic guitars where they make them look aged, which is strange. That is really strange to me, to buy a guitar that's brand new, but it looks like it's aged. It looks like it's been worn. And then they charge you extra for that wearing of the guitar to make it look like an original guitar, but it's not a 60s or 70s guitar, it's a relic guitar. Strangest thing I've ever heard of, but that's what they do. They call them relic guitars. Terry says, I'm a pig. Well, we all know that, so tell us something new. As Ariana says, she's home if she's not working. Now, do you go home? Do you go out at all? I mean, like I said, I'm in depending on where you live, they got these lockdowns. I have no idea how many people are actually locked in where they can't get out. It'd be interesting if any of you guys are in that situation. Is anyone that's online right now locked in, meaning you can't leave your house? If you do, there's a police car down the street. And the interesting thing is, yesterday I got online to some of these webcams. And you can get online, you can Google them. You Google New York City webcam, Las Vegas webcam. And I did that. And last night I saw New York City. And I saw that New York City, it was Times Square. The only thing I saw there were police car lights. Now, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means that they're there. If they see you walking, are they going to ask you for your driver's license to see where you live, to see if you've got some reason to be outside? Because is New York City locked down where you're not supposed to be out unless you're going to a Trader Joe's or a place to buy groceries? And are they going to ask you? Now, I saw a couple people walking, but I didn't see the police get out of the car to approach them. But I did see that the streets were almost completely empty. It's shocking to see New York City on a Saturday night at Times Square empty. It was a ghost town. And the only thing I saw, I saw cars periodically, very sparse. I saw 2 police cars parked alongside of the street, and I saw very few people walking. And I didn't see them approached by the police, but I saw it was a ghost town. I also did the webcam for Las Vegas. Some of the hotels, the lights were even dark on the hotels. But I did see, I looked at Fremont Street, which is the downtown. And they've got the Fremont Street Experience, which is the light on top, where they do a light show up there. That's kind of like a laser light show. Then they've got the people that are, what do they call that? They've got a cable and they're flying across on the cable. That's closed down. The Fremont Street Experience is closed down. And there, they had roped off the Fremont Street Experience, which has the Fremont casinos on it. They've got, what do they got there? All those casinos, I forget their names. Because I usually go to the Strip. I go downtown, but I'm usually on the Strip when I go to Vegas. But downtown, they got all those kind of cool Four Queens. And what's the big one? The Golden Nuggets down there. And it was all roped off so you couldn't go down there. There were 2 guards there. One guard at the areas were roped off, and they got another guard who was walking the casinos back and forth, I guess to make sure no one was going and crossing the do not cross line and doing shit with the casinos there. So it was a ghost town there as well. It was incredible. And then I looked at Japan, and by the way, supposedly, according to my wife, Japan had no lockdown, or Tokyo had no lockdown until yesterday, Saturday. I heard that there's either a lockdown or more businesses shut down, whatever's going on. But I was looking at Akihabara and Shinjuku, which are 2 of the places I know, because when I lived there, that's the place all the gaijins, the foreigners, used to go to. So I went there and I was looking at the webcams in those areas, and there were still people there walking and crossing the streets in Tokyo. So it was a little less of a ghost town than New York City, Times Square was, and Las Vegas, either the Strip or Fremont Street. It's an amazing, I took videos of it. I was so shocked, and you will never see that in our lifetime again. Hopefully, we will never see that in our lifetimes again. And hopefully everyone that's watching right now will continue to have a lifetime after all of this subsides. So let's see. Kathleen says, my ex-husband can pick up stuff for me, but he is not allowed in. He has to stay on the porch. My ex-husband. Okay, so he's your ex-husband, okay? Kathleen says her ex-husband can pick up stuff for me, so obviously he's helping you out, I guess, by buying stuff like at the grocery store, and he's dropping it off on your porch. As Ariana says, when good weather comes, I do day trips sometimes. So that's I guess you can get in your car, and I don't know, are you worried about getting in your car? Because when you're in your car and there's the lane next to you, that's closer than 6 foot, isn't it? From your passenger side to that driver's side's window, that's less than 6 foot distance, right? Because you think of 6 foot, I'm 6'4", almost. I'm 6'3" and some inches. 6'3" and some inches. 6'3" plus. So I'm almost 6'4". So I always imagine my body length distance to be what we're supposed to have between us. I can't lay my body across my passenger side window and the driver's window of the car in the lane next to me and be able to fit there. So it's closer than 6 foot. When you're driving, do you roll your windows up and run your air conditioning? I wonder if people are actually doing that. I wonder how scared they are. I wonder how many people are not doing the online dating right now, because you can do online dating, and how many people are doing that where they're just talking to people online with no intention right now of meeting. They're all doing video chats, getting to know each other socially via video chats, but they're not meeting right now. Or are they meeting? What are they doing? I went on some of these sex sites. I actually went to some of these places. I got online, and you can see when you go there and you do sex chat or sex sites. I went there to see how many people were hooking up. And it is amazing. People are still hooking up or trying to hook up if it actually happens, if these sites are for real. I saw them, and I saw like a chick writing an ad saying she does all this stuff. I have no idea if she's a hooker or not, but she had all this stuff. She wanted to meet a guy, put a picture up there of herself, and it was a suggested picture, and she's looking for guys to hook up with right now. Tomorrow, she wants to hook up that night with somebody. Then I went into the guy looking for chick site, and the guys are putting pictures of the private parts on there, and they're trying to hook up with a girl tonight. Within the next 10 minutes, I read one ad. I should put some of the ads up. Maybe next time I'll do that. I looked at one ad, and he says, if you're not looking for right now, don't waste my time. That's what the dude said. If you're not looking for right now, don't waste my time. So he wants to meet somebody right now. And when you're hooking up with someone that you don't know, first of all, it's a little bit dangerous, isn't it? It's a little bit dangerous if something's going to happen. Now, hopefully, at least they're wearing protection. But if you wear protection now, you may not get a venereal disease, but you'll catch this virus, right? Because this virus has nothing to do with, I guess it does to some degree, but it's not primarily a sexually transmitted disease. This is a virus that's transmitted just by airborne particles of spit, talking, sneezing, coughing. You're with a girl hooking up, or a guy trying to find a chick, or vice versa. I even went to the gay site, and I saw guys trying to hook up with other guys right now, today. Unbelievable. So there is really a section of the population that's not taking this shit seriously at all. And it was interesting today. I was talking to Sparky, who comments a lot on a lot of my chats. So does John, and so does Terry does as well. But I was looking around, and it's like people are not really being cautious of one another, and it's really shocking. And I was going to talk about what Sparky said. I drifted from my mind. I should not drink tea when thoughts are in my mind and I haven't started talking about already. But it really is a shock that people are not taking this stuff more seriously. So I'll tell you what, let me play a commercial right now. By the way, part of this commercial is specific to what's going on now. You'll see part of this commercial that is kind of interesting. And I did this commercial before, but I forgot all about it. It's pretty relevant to today. So check out the commercial. I'll be back with you guys after the commercial break here.
We'll be right back with more stuff right after this message. Yeah.
Certs is a candy mint. Certs is a breath mint.
Stop. You're both right. New Certs is 2 mints in 1. Stops bad breath in seconds. Tastiest mint of all. Yes, only New Certs gives you 2 mints in 1. Certs contains a golden drop of Retsin. Stops bad breath in seconds. Tastiest mint of all. So get New Certs. Remember, only smoother, tastier Certs gives you 2 mints in 1.
Oh, Mr. Whipple, Charmin bathroom tissue is so squeezably soft it's irresistible.
Charmin has a squeezable softness that's rich and fluffy.
Oh, my God!
Soft fragrance, too.
I only squeeze Charmin. It's a pleasure to squeeze.
Charmin is so squeezably soft, it's irresistible.
George.
Irresistible.
Wake up, George. It's a dream.
Oh, that explains it. I'd never squeeze Charmin while I was awake.
Certainly not, George.
These four rooms, bright and iron and withered fumes, far below these sinful means.
Okay, guys, back. Do you recognize that guy? Please don't squeeze the Sherman guy. His name. Do you remember his name? Mr. Whipple. I remember his name. Very appropriate. You can't squeeze the Sherman now. Charmin. It's called. I don't even know if they still sell Charmin toilet paper anymore. I think they still do. Now you see the ones with the bear, right? Squeezably soft. Cottonelle, I think it is, right? How about some of the other guys? You remember the donut guy from Dunkin' Donuts was making the donuts? I think I even have a commercial on that. I should probably mix that one up. The making the donuts guy. And then, of course, where's the beef? Remember her? The woman, the older woman, where's the beef? You remember that one? All these funny people used to do commercials. That was Mr. Whipple, if you don't remember. So one of the topics now that we're talking about is, should we open up the economy and the country again quickly? Should we do that? Now, I've looked at the statistics. I've sort of kept up with it until this weekend approached. This weekend I tried to do things like I did some car work, and I did a variety of things. I cleaned our swimming pool, getting it ready so we could swim, because this week it's supposed to hit 90 degrees in Arizona. And 90 degrees is going to be a good temperature for Arizona, because I heard either rumor or truth that this virus is supposed to die once the temperature hits 80 degrees plus. So for us in Arizona, it's been a cooler spring. Of course, spring just started, but it's been a cooler winter and a damper winter than it's typically been for a lot of years. It's been really cool here and rainy. We're above the average rain of 1 inch. Now, it only rains 7 inches to 8 inches a year in Arizona, and some places have like 3 inches of rain, 4 inches of rain in a specific day or a weekend. We get 7 to 8 inches of rain the entire year, and we get most of it during our monsoon season, which is like July, August, and September. But we're above the average rainfall by 1 inch. But it's supposed to hit, I think, 81 degrees tomorrow, and then it's supposed to heat up to like 89. So as we get to that higher temperature, the virus is supposed to die. Now, it's not going to die in our bodies. If we're all contaminated, we're not going to go outside and breathe 89-degree air into our mouth and have it cure us, because it's gotten into our lungs and our throat, and it's cleared up all the viruses in our lungs and it's killed it all. That's not going to happen. But at least when we go outside and we touch like ATMs, when we go to a gas station, we're paying with our credit card, we're pressing the buttons, at least the surfaces might actually have less of that virus on it. Now, from what I heard too, I think Sparky brought this up, and this is what I was saying with Sparky brought this up. I think she's the one that said that when you pick up the nozzle to fill your gas tank, I think she said that there's constantly disease, bacteria, viruses all over that thing. And I don't know if that means that it ever dies in Arizona before it does anywhere else. And for some of the places where at nighttime it's below, like you're living in the East Coast, sometimes it's 90 degrees during the day, and at night it's down to 70, which is below 80. So does it not die because it revitalizes in the evening? I have no idea. It's funny, Arizona, our daytime temperature in the summer and our nighttime temperature varies by sometimes like 30 degrees. It's like 95 during the day and it's like 65 at night. 30 degrees because there's no cloud cover and all the heat just goes right out the atmosphere. And it cools down that much. Except in the heat of the summer, when it's monsoon season, it doesn't cool down that much. Our temperatures at night are like 92 degrees. In daytime, it's like 110, 115. So will it burn off? Will it damage? Will it make the virus die? And some of the parts of the country to get warmer before the other parts of the country will be saved sooner than the guys living in the colder, cooler climates. I'm not sure about that. But I'm thinking, I'm not thinking I'm going to be safe and go out there and touch every surface and lick toilet bowls like these idiots that are doing it. Is the Corona challenge. Or the other thing they're doing is they're taking Corona bottles of beer onto the beach with the hot chick, and they're sticking the bottle between their butt cheeks, and they're drinking the Corona beer between the girls' butt cheeks, and they're putting it on video on YouTube, and this is their coronavirus challenge. Drinking Corona beer between the butt cheeks of the chick. Unbelievable. So do you think we should open up the economy? It's kind of a big debate. I haven't watched over the weekend any Trump conversations on this, and I know he was specifically saying he wanted to open up the country on Easter Sunday or the Monday following. Nothing's open on Easter Sunday anyway, so opening up the economy on Easter Sunday is not really opening up the economy on Easter Sunday. It would be Monday, right? And I think some people, aren't they off on the Monday following Easter? I forget. But maybe Tuesday. So either he's trying to open up the economy in essence on a Sunday to make it look like the rebirth of the United States, because there's the rebirth of Jesus, right? Rose again on Easter Sunday, if you're into that religious stuff. So rising again of Jesus is the rising again of the country on Sunday. So I guess that's why he wants to bring it on a Sunday. But I guess Monday would be the revitalization of the economy. You agree with that or you don't? I'm curious. Let me see if I can read some chats. Or let's see. Bernadette says flu season is usually in winter, cooler weather. But I think that I did read up on the flu. And I think they gave statistics on the flu. And they took every flu season and they were talking about when the season was. And some of the flu season was actually in the summer. I think most of them were in the cooler weather, but some of them were in the summer. Oh, Bernadette says now, okay, so Bernadette's got the update that I guess Trump wants to open up the economy on April 30th. So that's a full month away, today being the 29th. So the 30th of April. Okay, so that's kind of cool, I guess. So through April, we have the lockdowns or the even more lockdowns. I'm not sure about parts of the country being locked down. I guess he's handing it over to the governors of each state to make the decision on what is appropriate for their state. And that's probably the appropriate thing to do, is to do that. So it's till the end of April. So obviously what he's doing, and it makes good sense, and everyone blows up on the guy for saying he picked a target of Easter Sunday. That's what he picked and chose. Either was it random or a goal or something that would have been a good memory to have the country come back to life on that come back to life religious day of Easter Sunday. So that was his target and his goal. And obviously he's been listening, as he's got the people behind him, and you see that they're all contributing to the conversation and the answering of questions. So obviously he's listening to them, and he's made a decision to change it. And probably if he needs to, he'll change it again. Or he will make the governors of each state make choices on their own. Whether they'll be good choices or bad choices, you don't know. Depending on who you hired to govern your particular state is the guy you put in the position to do that. Now, does that mean that everyone has to follow? Supposing Trump did open it up on Easter Sunday, and Monday, business as usual. Now you have to make a decision about if you go back to work or not. But if you're a person who's going as a customer to any place, you don't have to go. You don't have to follow the directive that you've got to go out and start using the economy again. You could not do that, except you would not be able to do that if you're a person that has to go to work and work at, say, a department store like that, like Macy's or something, and then you've got to go in there because it's a customer and salesperson relationship. Now, it's interesting, in Arizona now, I believe that one of the car mechanics that services my car, as far as I know, he's still open. And what he's doing is he's staggering the appointments. So you drop off your car, and I'm assuming someone will come out to meet your vehicle. They probably have the door closed. I'm assuming this. So you go there, you make an appointment to drop off your car. As soon as you appear at the front door, he'll greet you at the front door, take your keys. But when you go to pick up your vehicle, You got to make an appointment, so you pick up your vehicle at a certain specific time when your vehicle's ready, so you're not waiting in line to pay your car's service charge and the guy behind you and the guy behind you. You're not all clustered in the waiting room to pick up your car. So that's the way they're doing it. I believe that they're still open because Arizona doesn't have a lockdown. It's business by business, like I told you guys. PetSmart is still open. Petco is still open. I'm not sure. A couple of days ago I was there, and you could actually walk your dog still into the PetSmart. Now, I know that I think I saw Target had it roped off in front. I'm not sure about this because I didn't attempt to go into Target. But it looked like it was sectioned off. So you had to do a phone order and pick up your stuff outside of Target. But I'm not sure about that because Target also has groceries in there. They got milk and stuff like that. So it might be because it's part of grocery store as well as clothing and stuff like that. It's a mixed bag. It would seem like it's probably open, so I'm not sure of that. As Ariana says, some people are saying June or August until everyone is healthy and can go back to normal. Now, will it really ever go back to normal? Will people, at some point, I guess a majority of the population will go back to normal slowly. It'll be probably a slow process. I'm assuming if everyone says everything's healthy and happy in June or August, you forgot July there, so probably June through August you're talking about. So will people initially just take the mask off, or will they go to their first couple of weeks worth of work with the mask on and listen to people coughing in the office with the mask on to protect themselves? And people that live in big cities, when they take the subway and they're holding the handrail so they don't slide all over the place. When they hold that rail, will they hold it with a glove to protect themselves so that will they have a mask on the subway? When will it go back to normal where people really drop their guards down? I'm not sure because I live in a city. I live outside of Phoenix, not close enough, 23 miles away. So my experiences have been isolated from the big cities. I haven't seen big city life since this all started. And I don't intend to, by the way. Terry says, Dave, stop shaving your chest. I don't shave my chest. This is me. I don't shave my chest. I did shave today. I shaved with an electric razor. This brings up another point. Off topic. Like I said, tonight's going to be all off topic. No specific topic. My razor, I have an electric razor. And I needed a battery for it. It's got those rechargeable batteries, of course, where you charge it and then you can use it. I needed the battery sort of quickly because I didn't have the regular razor, and I don't feel like buying the disposable razors, although now I do have Harry's razors and also have the once-a-day razor, whatever they're called, daily razor. I forget. I've got some of those disposable ones, and they're really good. 5 blades in these razors. I have an electric razor. I needed a battery. I got online, and I bought a battery, and it ended up to be a Chinese battery. I told you guys about buying products from China, especially if we find out that China is responsible for this mess and fiasco, and I use the word responsible for this fuck-up. I try to not buy Chinese products because they're Chinese products, in my opinion, and from what I've seen and what I've witnessed, Chinese products are throwaway products of low quality that don't last long. Now, I've got proof of that. I bought a battery for my razor not knowing it was a Chinese battery. I got it and I could see it was a Chinese battery. Put it in my electric razor. It's an older razor. It's a vintage razor. I like vintage products because I'm vintage. Look at me, I'm 61, I'm vintage. I have a vintage razor, so I had to actually open it up and I had to solder the battery in there. This Chinese battery. Of course, you're going to know what happened. Doesn't last long. 3 months and the battery's not taking a charge. Buy Chinese products, you're buying an inferior product of poor quality. It's not going to last that long. Try not to buy Chinese products, especially now. If China is part responsible for this, or heavily responsible for this, we all believe and we've all been told that this came and started in China. We don't know if it started by, it's funny, I put this topic up there earlier, and one of the listeners to the show, Gary, said that this isn't the case. Sparky came on and she said that, or someone commented initially, wondering, I think, was it Kathleen? who asked the question, was this started by one person in China? And then Gary came on and said that he believes that this was not started by one person. He believes that it was started by a group of Chinese experimental people, scientists, creating this, and then it got out into the public. Whether it got out there intentionally or by accident is a theory it's a conspiracy theory, which may not actually be a conspiracy theory. It seems like it could very well be valid. We don't know about that. And Brian just said one. Bernadette said one person, Dave. Person accidentally started this. So Bernadette believes, maybe it was Bernadette that put this on my thread, that one person started this. I'm not sure. I've heard a couple things. I've heard that it was developed by Chinese scientists, whether they intentionally tried to disperse this on the public, whether it got loose via an experiment that they weren't really intending to put out at this point. And why would they not put it out at this point? Did they want to make it more fatal? And they're working on it, and it was somewhat fatal. Were they working on it to make it more catastrophic and more fatal? And they didn't want to release it. It got out now, but there's still not enough of the population dying, and they wanted more people to die than are currently dying. I'm not sure. Or was it one person that supposedly this potentially maybe came from a bat or a monkey? I think the AIDS virus was started from transmitting from a monkey to human, or chimpanzee to human, one or the other, I forget which. And that's how the AIDS virus started, or HIV started. So what was this? A one person? And it's funny because there was this, I told you guys, I was binging on this TV show called The Last Ship. And the virus on The Last Ship, which devastated 90% of the world population, was started by one person. This doctor that actually was working hand in hand, side by side, with the doctor working on the cure, which was interesting. Now, I believe he was working he was working on the Russian ship, actually. But I think it was an English guy that the Russians captured because he was the guy that started the virus. They wanted to use him as a weapon. What he would do is this is interesting, he would cough on anyone that he wanted to infect, and that cough onto that other person created that person to have the virus that killed you. I believe it was in 3 days, and they were dead. It's interesting, coughing on another person, very similar to this, right? You cough on another person, they catch the virus and they die within 15 days. This was like if you're in that age group, but now I heard somewhere that the age group is now 40s that are checking into the hospital. But if you're in the age group that's more susceptible to this because you're an older person with a slowed down immunity system, or if you've got pre-existing conditions, asthma or other things, especially the ones that involve the lungs, because this attacks the lungs, you're in one of those statistics that's more dangerous. But it was interesting in this TV show, this guy would cough on people and make them contaminated with the virus, and they would die in the 3 days. 90% of the population. This other scientist was working on the cure for this virus. And at one point, they were working side by side. I forget how I think they found out that he was the one that was contaminating people. And what they did is the scientist, I think she was English as well. She actually took an organ from this guy, killed him, took the organ which was used to create the virus. And of course, then you have to have the moral consideration. This doctor who's there to preserve life. You got to watch the series. It was really good. Or maybe don't watch it now because it's frightening to watch it. But this doctor killed the doctor that was the contaminant, and the one person, she killed him, took the organ and harvested the organ to create the cure, the vaccine to cure everyone else. It was an interesting concept, but scary, very very specific to today's headlines. Scary to watch it. Some of you guys are saying by the Chinese government. That's what Terry's saying, by the Chinese government. But the Chinese government are probably the ones that gave the okay to release this. But the Chinese scientists, you know, government people are not that swift. They're not scientific people at all. Except for who was it? Jimmy Carter was a scientist, wasn't he? Wasn't he a physicist? Jimmy Carter, the president of the United States, who didn't do a very good job governing the country, but he was a scientist. I think he was a physicist. And so he was a guy in government that was actually scientifically pretty smart. But government generally is not scientifically driven. They're like either career politicians or they're businessmen, like we had Trump in there, right? He's got the business perspective, but he's not a scientist at all. Now he's trying to group himself with scientists to give him a perspective so he can make a decision based on the federal government's decision to do what they need to do from a federal perspective, yet giving the governors of each state the rights to do what they need to do. So I believe that if it was, Terry says, the Chinese government handing this out, yes, probably the Chinese government, but it was probably the Chinese scientists that created this if it wasn't a one-person thing. So we don't know. Let's see. As Ariana says, Joe Diffie just died from the virus. 61 to 62. That was his age. Joe Diffie. I'm not sure who that is. Brian says, I follow the Daily Mail news station, and according to oh, okay, so I guess according to the broadcast, I'll read it again. I'll put on my glasses so I can read it more clearly. Brian, oh, I got to clean the glasses first. What a nerd set of glasses. I know Terry hates these glasses. But I can't see anything with these because they're cool shades, right? These are my Elton John glasses. But if I put on my geek glasses so I can zoom up on this stuff. Brian says, I follow the Daily Mail news station, and according to the, I guess, broadcast, he left out a word there, a 6-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old, and 21-year-old, and a 27-year-old died. And they said had no pre-existing conditions. So that's kind of scary, right? Wow. I did not know that. That makes you wonder about the safety of any of us. I'm going to eat a Mentos here. You ever eat these? Remember Dynamints and what's the other one that's still out there? Tic Tacs. Tic Tacs are still out there, but remember Dynamints? Oh, a country musician, evidently. As Ariana says, Joe Diffie, a country musician, died and he was 61 to 62 years old. So he's in the age category of being more vulnerable. But Brian said, according to the news that he follows, not only a younger person, but a 6-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 27-year-old died. So they're not invulnerable, and he says that they didn't have any pre-existing conditions. Pretty scary, right? Brian's giving me suggestions on a razor. Van der Hagen. Is that an electric razor or is it a disposable razor? Let's see. I'm going to try to read some of the comments. I'm going to scroll back up. Kathleen says, weird, I was just talking about those commercials yesterday. Spooky. I guess the commercial with what? Charmin, the guy squeezing the Charmin, whose name is Mr. Whipple. And John says tomorrow in New York City is going to be 58 degrees. That's kind of average for you guys this time of year, isn't it? 58 degrees. Brian says most of those sites, are you talking about the porn sites, the hookup sites? Most of those sites are bots. Usually it's a cam site. Oh, the ones where actually I wonder, if you're gonna visit the porn sites, try to hook up with someone. You know what? Do video sex. I mean, Brian says that most of those sites are cam sites. Go to the cam site and whack off, watching someone whack off with you. If you're going to get on those sites like the one I found, I don't remember the name of it, because I'm not there constantly. I'm not there at all. I shouldn't say constantly. I'm not there at all. But if you're going to get on one of those sites and hook up with someone, how about hooking up virtually? You can have some good virtual sex. For a while, I was living in New York, and my wife was in Arizona, and we did the virtual thing. It's not bad. It's not perfect. It's not great. It's not fun. And the guy in the hotel room next to me probably didn't want to hear me, or my wife in the house, because she's louder than I am. The next door neighbors can hear her. They probably don't want to hear that. But still, it's safer, right, than hooking up with someone. Do virtual sex. Get on those sites. I don't know if you can put your Skype name in there or not, because maybe they check for that. You're probably not allowed to put that or your phone number or something like that. But try to figure out how to do it so that you can hook up with the person virtually. Have some visual sex. WebEx is used for corporate stuff. When I communicate with Wells Fargo or Molina Healthcare for the clients I have, we use WebEx. I wonder if WebEx now is going to be WebEx instead of WebEx, WebEx rated. It's going to be all the people hooking up virtually, having visual sex with their partner that they haven't even met, or maybe they didn't. Maybe it's their girlfriend. They just don't feel comfortable enough to be with them in the same room. They're isolating themselves because they don't know who they've been with throughout the day. Maybe they're not hooking up for fun stuff, sex, but maybe they're just out there in public, not being as safe as maybe maybe the guy wants to be safer, or maybe the girl wants to be safer, and they don't want to hook up anymore until this all blows over. So they're doing the virtual thing. They're using WebEx in a different way. Bernadette's funny. She says, whack off 6 feet away. Very funny. There we go. Whack off. Not only do you have to be 6 feet away, you got to whack off six feet away. That's good, because if you're using video on your computer, you don't want to whack off too close to the screen because you're going to get it all jizzed up. So whack off 6 feet away so you don't damage your computer and your keyboard. Whack off from a distance. Because if you're a young guy and you're still able to shoot pretty far, you don't want to damage the computer. So whack off 6 feet away. Terry says she's bored to death. There's a lot of stuff to do that won't make you bored to death. In fact, maybe this week, if I don't have a chance to do shows like this, maybe I'll do movie night again. Maybe we'll watch some movies. There's plenty of stuff to do. I think Terry's in a place where she's locked down a little bit more. I think she's in Massachusetts. So I know Massachusetts, you're locked down some more than you are in Arizona. I think the major lockdown states are now Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. But I don't know if it's the whole state or parts of the state. I'm not sure. Massachusetts, I don't think you're locked down from my knowledge. Then you can't go out and take a walk. You can't go out and order food from a takeout place, get there and get the takeout food and eat it as a picnic. In fact, my wife and I did that today. Went out and got some food and had it like as a picnic. Well, you can still do that, right? Or walk the dog if you got a dog. I think you can still do that in the majority of the country. And still go out and drive around and at least see some scenery. It's spring. You're going to see the springtime flowers blooming. You can do that, I think. You can still do a lot of things to get out. You don't have to stay locked into your house. You can still do a lot of things that you did before. It's just now you can't go and sit at a bar with people sitting next to you and have a conversation with them, which I sort of like doing. It's fun to meet people at a bar. It's fun to see what they're doing there. What are they there for? The music? They there for the drinks? They there to meet chicks? There to meet guys? What are they there to do? What are they doing? It's kind of, and what do they do for a living? Or are they alcoholics? Are they just there at the bar so that they can get away from the screen where they're watching porn all the time? So they're at the bar now, but they want to get back with the beer and watch some online porn. I don't know, but there's plenty of stuff to do. Really, there is. And then if you have a hobby, you can intensify your hobby. I should be playing the guitar more, but I've been doing stuff like cleaning the pool, doing some car work. I should probably pick up the guitar and start playing again because that's my hobby. So maybe I should just do that. John said I just drove to Edison and Woodbridge to go shopping. See that? If you want to go shopping, maybe instead of going to your local grocery store, drive a little bit and go to a different grocery store that you've never been to. And go in there and maybe it's a good thing to go in there because maybe the store that you usually go to, maybe they don't have toilet paper. So you drive 5-6 miles away, maybe you're going to get lucky and that place has some toilet paper. You might get lucky. So drive around a little bit. You can still go to a coffee shop where you can make coffee at home. Make coffee at home and then go out and then sit in the park, read a book, and have a cup of coffee. In fact, I might do that tomorrow. There's a park around here. Might take Willie, instead of going into a Starbucks, which I think are still open, but instead of going there, I'll probably just make some coffee at home, go out with Willie to the park and read a book in the park. So I'm going to get out tomorrow and I'm going to do that probably. Terry says we are locked down. But I thought you're in Massachusetts. Are you locked down? I think that's where you're from, right? Or you're in Connecticut. I forget. I remember I always see your phone number popping up and I forget what state you're in. See, anything else? Brian says, a Van der Hagen is an old-fashioned single blade razor. I'm scared to use a single blade razor. Are you kidding? That's the long thing that you have to sharpen up, and you got to go like this. It looks like you're in True Grit, shaving yourself that way. Did I forget? Maybe what was the Charlton Heston movie where he used a single blade to shave himself? Planet of the Apes. After he came out of the spaceship, after sleeping for so many years. He came out of hibernation. He's got a beard and he's shaving himself with a single blade. Scary. I wouldn't want to use a single blade. The last person I know that used a single blade was Lorena Bobbitt, shaving off that guy. He got a shave. He got a close shave. Not only did he lose a little bit, that guy lost about 6 inches probably. That was a close shave. Let's see, anything else you guys want to talk about? I'm trying to read the chats here. Now I got to scroll up because I read some of the bottom chats. I covered all my topics I wanted to talk about, which was should we open up the country now, or now obviously the determination is to open up at the end of April, potentially. Don't forget, if you're trying to do your taxes, I'll tell you something here. Here's a little trick to this. If you're going to do your taxes, I use TurboTax to do our taxes. You're supposed to get now what do they call it? You're supposed to get money from the government now to ease your pain. Well, whatever they call it. I forget the wording of it. But you're supposed to get, supposedly, I think you're supposed to get $1,200 if you're single, $1,200 for you and your wife if you're a couple and follow jointly, and $500 for each child. Is it up to 2 children or something like that? But be careful, because if you're a guy like me and I'm self-employed as a consultant. So some years I work 12 months out of the year. Some years I work less months out of the year, and I'm looking for my next gig. So there's a little trick to this. Supposedly, especially if you're in the higher earning dollar amount, there's a cutoff for this. Supposedly, I think they said if you make $90-some thousand or more in a year, they'll take 5% of each 100, and that's how less you'll make out of your $1,200 if you're single. So I think if you're single and you make $95,000 a year or more, what you make over and above the $95,000, they take $5 out of every 100 out of your $1,200. I think that's what they said. So if you're a guy that's in that high value of earning, if you happen to have 2018 and you made less in 2018 than you did in 2019, don't file your taxes yet, because I heard that they will take your last your tax documents, and they will take your actual earnings, which is reduced by your disclosures. What bad wording today. But they will take that. So if you made, bottom line, if you made less in 2018 and more in 2019, don't file 2019 yet, because you want them to take your earned income based upon 2018, since you made less. If you're at that high earning potential and that high earning dollar, and you don't want to be taken away from your $1,200 worth of government money you're going to get. then hold off on doing your taxes till you get the check. That's what I found out. Let's see, Brian's the shaver expert guy here. Oh no, Dave, not that kind. I meant the single blade safety razor in a style of the 1918 razor. I think my father uses that. In fact, he's got the one, he puts the blade in there. I think he's got like a little case, and he sharpens it in the case and he shaves, but it's a single blade. So I think I know that type. Terry says she won't get a cent. Now, I'm not quite sure why. Supposedly, if you file taxes, and if you're single, and if you make less than $95,000, you should get some money. Now, I believe if you're on Social Security, you still get some money. I believe so. So you better check into that. Let's see. Bernadette says, I went to a store. First hour was for 60 and older. They let me in. I'm 50. How about that? So there we go. They're not checking what. Why? Because they can't discriminate? What's the reason for that? You're going to a store. The store set up specific guidelines so that the people that were having a hard time shopping, and maybe they're more scared to go shopping because they're in the higher age where they're more susceptible, their immune systems are less. So stores are opening up specific times for the senior citizens to go in there and do their shopping, which seems to be appropriate. But if they're letting anybody in there, now they probably won't let a 20-year-old guy in there because he's going to look a lot different than a 60-year-old. But if you're in your 50s, they might let you in there thinking that you're 60 if you happen to look older than your age. If you happen to look younger than your age, they might not let you in there until you prove that you're of that age. My wife is Asian. She looks about 10, 12 years younger than she is. So they might not let her in for the 60-year-old group. They may card her. So it's like going to a club now. They're going to card you to see if you can drink. They're going to card you to see if you're in the age group. But they didn't card you, right? They let you in there and you're 50. Interesting. This Mentos is pretty cool. When you open it up, look at the kind of neat thing. They open it up and look, the mint sticks on this little catch here. So it gives you an easy dispersal of the mint. Went through a lot of effort to design this Mentos case. And they lie. They say it lasts for 30 minutes. It only lasts about 15 minutes. It's a lie. It's like Viagra. They say it lasts for 4 hours. It doesn't. Or what do they say? They say if you have an erection that lasts for 4 hours, you better go to the hospital. Why? They have nurses that are going to sleep with you so your erection goes down? Why would, if you have an erection that lasts for 4 hours or longer, they tell you to seek medical care. So you have an erection that lasts for longer than 4 hours, you go to the hospital. You're going to be able to bang a nurse so that they can bring the erection down? Why do you have to go to the hospital? I never understood that. I heard you won't get, oh yeah, I did hear this. I heard you won't get a check if you owe child support or haven't filed taxes in 2018. I'm not sure the second part. I did hear about the child support thing. And I heard someone asking if they owe money to the government, that they get a check. And I heard that you still get a check if you owe money to the government. Now, should they be taking out the money that you owe the government before you get it? Should they or are they? I don't know the answer to that. Bernadette says, I must look 60. Perhaps you do. I don't know. One of the things to do too is, I went to, not too long ago, I went to this orientation at one of the Department of Economic Security because I was trying to get them involved in working with me to put jobs online. Because you turn on the radio, not online, on the air. You turn on radio and you don't hear about jobs being available to the public. So I was going in there before this coronavirus things started happening. I was thinking about I could be on the radio having like headhunters come in, or recruiters if you want to use the more polite term, coming into the radio studio to market the jobs that are available to match with the candidates. And I don't hear anyone doing that. So I thought I'm going to do it for them. So I went to this Department of Economic Security and I sat through one of their classes. And they were talking about looking the age. You go in for a job interview and you go in there and you look older than you are, because I saw some of the people in this class that had like all gray hair. And I do too. I got to dye it next week. I got gray hair here and I got gray hair here. You can see it coming out, right? So I camouflaged that by dyeing my hair. There were some guys there, full head of white hair, and they were actually unemployed. They were looking for jobs. They were unemployed. And I was there to try to give a perspective of how we can help these people get employed by having a show on the radio that the Arizona Department of Economic Security could have on their people coming in to talk on the radio about jobs available to Arizonians, that's what we call ourselves, to get them working. And I'm in there and I'm at this course, and I actually told one of the guys, I didn't direct it to him, I said, one of the things that I do is, even though I don't have much gray hair, and I wasn't pointing at the guy because he's got a full head of gray hair, I say one of the things I do, it's important because you're going to get discriminated against. Go dye your hair and then go to your interviews. Make sure you get a good quality hair dye that looks real and doesn't look fake. And dye your hair so that you look younger than you actually are. You got to do that because even though they say there's no age discrimination, there is age discrimination. There is discrimination out there. Of course there is. You go in there and you look older, they're going to think, well, this guy is old. He's going to have medical needs, or he's going to be a guy that's not going to work as quickly as some of the younger people might work. They're going to think that. If you go in there looking younger, they're going to think, well, here's a guy who could be just on the top of his game or just coming off the top of his game, but he's a good employee to hire. Let's hire the guy. You got to do that. Let's see, as Ariana says, the baby population will go up after this. Probably true. I think they're talking about that. And I'm part of a generation called the baby boomers. There's going to be baby boomers part 2 after this, right? God help them. God help them. As I said in previous shows before, the generations younger than me, I don't think they have the work ethic. I don't think they've got the morals. I don't think they've got the brains that we have, because if you really think about it, and I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it because I'm going to say it. My generation is the ones that actually created a lot of shit. We created a lot of the things that you use, the mechanics, the electronics. We wrote software that you use. We wrote the software that's on your phones. We're the guys that wrote this shit, created this shit, mechanically created it, built it, and the young generation are the fuckers that use it. They're not the ones that created it, they're the ones that use it. And they think they're brilliant because they use a cell phone, all the apps on the cell phones. But maybe that, a lot of young people create the apps. So I shouldn't pick on that. But we create a lot of shit. So generations, I say generations before, younger than me, are not the brightest of beans in the barrel. Sorry to say that, or pickles in a barrel. That's more appropriate. Pickles in a barrel. But, and as we get another generation of baby boomers, part 2, are they going to be swift? I don't know. You answer that question on your own. Let's see. Terry says, good IDWA. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't want to something. I don't know what that means. I'm up on most of the quick 4-letter things. WTF does IDWA mean? WTF, what does it mean? What the fuck does it mean, WTF? I think that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for joining the show. I'm going to head out because I did cover the topics I wanted to talk about. And I talked about it. So it's very cool having you guys on. You know what I'll do? I will play my closer, but before I do, I'll replay Brad's opener. Okay, I'll replay Brad. This is Terry's watching. She likes Brad a lot. I'll play Brad, and then I'll do my usual closer. And for tonight, I'm just going to say goodbye. Talk to you guys later. Maybe tomorrow night we'll do movie night. I'm not sure. I think probably I'm not going to talk tomorrow night. Take a break, and we'll do movie night. Cheers, guys.
We got an audience.
Tom Merritt and Susie's watching you. Lisa Brooks, Hamilton, Jim Wickert.
All right. We're coming on. We're coming on.
Dave Darren. Dave Darren.
Dave Darren? The fabulous, the famous Dave Darren show?
Okay, I'm leaving you on your own now.
All right, see ya. Okay, as you know, we're kind of like impromptu here, folks. My friend and drummer and just all around good guy, Buddy Greco Jr. is with us.
How you doing out there, people? Everyone is safe. God bless you all.
And my guitar player extraordinaire, partner in crime, songwriter partner, Mr. Peter Sutter. Right?
Yay!
My name is Biff.
How you doing, Biff?
Yeah, pretty good. Anyway, it's good to be back here. I hope you all can hear us. I had to negotiate with my neighbor back there. As you can see, his ladder is showing. He wanted to make sure that his ladder was in the shot. So, and we tried to paint the wall for you there, Bagwell, but you're going to have to deal with the wall. Anyhow, I want to say hi to everybody. We love you. I'm glad that you're home safe, tucked away, and we're just good. You want to start something? What do you want to do?
I'm going to do that one that I kind of screwed up the other day. The one that you did on the 12th floor.
Oh.
Yeah.
This okay. Yeah, this is an original song. Originally did it with Mark Gregg and Misty Howell on the 12th floor at Fantasy Springs. Wrote this one a while back. It's called We Are Lovers. You guys ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just seems to vanish in a haze. Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We make love every day, every season. We don't have to be like all the others. Have no fear, darling dear, we are lovers. You must tell me now, in the days ahead, are we losing ground? Am I fooled instead? Don't be afraid to lay it all on me. No matter how we feel, we are free. Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We make love every day, every season. We don't have to be like all the others. Have no fear, darling dear, we are lovers. All right, Peter, look out. Woo! Have no fear, we are here for a reason. We make love every day, every season. 'Cause we are lovers, yeah, yeah, yeah. We are lovers, alright, yeah. Ooh, la, 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 la. Lovers, we are lovers, yeah. Yay!
subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
I don't even wanna keep the score.